This is Module 2, Leadership Styles and Ethics. My name is Hannah Turner, and this is for EDL 852. So my personal leadership style, I kind of compared myself to several of these sources. The first one that I identify with is servant leadership style, which is kind of, leading by example and doing things for the whole entire group. I personally believe that principals work for their teachers and not the other way around. If there's anything that I can do to make the lives of my teachers easier, then I'm going to do that. That's very much just my personality. I'm also a West decision maker, which means that I'm very pragmatic. I gather a lot of information before I make my decisions, and I'm very much dependable. But I put an asterisk there because I also closely identify with the North decision style, in that I make my decisions very quickly. I don't require a lot of time to think things over. And it's not a bad thing that I make decisions fast. I don't make bad decisions. Um, I know exactly what I want and I know how to get there. And so that's how I'm able to make decisions so fast. I'm also a steward type of leader. Stewards are the rock of the company, and stewards are very focused on teamwork and what's best for the team. Stewards, we also like rules and procedures, and we very rigidly follow those rules and procedures, which is very much in tune with my own personality. And I'll talk a little bit more about stewardship in just a little bit. So, 5 traits that I have that I think match my leadership and decision making styles very well. I have a strong vision. I know exactly what I want for the future. And I know what I want my school to look like a year from now, 5 years from now. And I know how I'm going to get there. I also have a strong sense of integrity. I know exactly what right from wrong is. And I'm not afraid to make decisions based on what I feel is right and decisions against what I think is wrong. I'm also very humble. I think it's about what's best for the team and not necessarily for myself, which I think is an important quality in a principal because it's not about the principal, it's about everybody else in the building, because the teachers are the ones doing all the work. So I'm very much about giving credit where credit is due. And I'm also about cooperation. I work in a middle school setting, and there are 7 or 8 of his teachers that work with one group of kids, and when we're all on the same page, it's only good for the kids, and that's what school is all about. We're doing what's best for the kids. So these are characteristics of a good leader that I think I should work on. First is emotional intelligence and empathy. It's not that I'm apathetic towards people or anything, but I know that I can kind of come across that way. And stewards rank pretty low in feeling. Um, and I just kind of feel like and I've already known this about myself, and I feel like I should work on um, maybe like my listening skills, and rather than just straight just giving advice, like listening instead of just jumping to conclusions. I also want to be very careful about creating a community, and this goes back to last week when we talked about making a mission and vision statements, and so that everyone can be on the same page, kind of creating that camaraderie. I don't think that I would be bad at this, but it's something that I think I need to pay very close special attention to. I also need to work on delegating tasks. I am actually really bad at this, and this goes back to that servant leadership type of thing. I feel like if I am able to do a task and do it well, and someone needs me to do it, I should be able to do it. But a lot of times I just don't have the time or mental space to be able to do it, and that's when I need to learn to be able to ask for help and to delegate those tasks to others. And also, I think I should work on communicating clearly. Again, I don't think I'm necessarily bad at this, but I think there's always room for improvement when it comes to communicating. And finally, we have ethics. I found this pretty an interesting read. Um, so I have a very strong sense of morality. Just It just comes from my personal faith. Um, I have a good sense of what's right and what's wrong. But I think that ethics are what we can legally apply to our senses of morality. Like I think that my own sense of morality kind of extends beyond what I can legally require my teachers and staff to be able to do. That makes sense. But ethical leadership mostly is about, relationship building, and that's something that as a teacher, that pay very close attention to, because I'm working with these students all year, and some of them I work with them for 3 years. So I want to make sure that I have good working relationships with them, so that I can kind of demand a little bit more ethical behavior out of them. Um, I feel like we have a duty to educate students ethically. If we are doing it unethically, then why are we doing it? It's We're not parents by any means, but we act as such strong role models. It's foolish to deny that, um, that it's important for us to act in a way that would make our students proud. You know, we don't want them to, do as I say, not as I do. I don't believe in that. We should be able to walk the walk. And I think but for myself, there's a fine line between justice and compassion. And a lot of times I tend to lean more towards the justice aspect rather than compassion. And I think that's something that I personally need to watch out for. The first case study that we talked about in the ethics slides, um, with the teacher running a adult fantasy store, I personally found that extremely icky. And as a principal, I would not be okay with this. And my knee jerk reaction would be to be like, okay, you can't do this. But I also understand that what a teacher does outside of school, I probably don't have a lot of say over. I would think I would probably make it pretty clear to that teacher that I wish that they had talked to me first, about this, rather than trying to keep it a secret. And if there's anything that we can do as an alternative for them to make money, because I can't take away something like that from them. And then case two with the battery charges brought up against a PE teacher. Well, they weren't actually brought up, but it came out that the PE teacher hits their wife. Again, what kind of example would we be setting for students if we allowed that kind of person to stay? But I feel like that kind of decision ultimately rests with the school board, and if they want to renew that contract or if they want to terminate that contract immediately. Um, I think it would be important, though, to hear his side of the story and what really is going on at their house. Um, but that is not okay. Absolutely not okay. And I'm glad that it hadn't spilled out into the school. But again, what kind of example are we setting for our students? So here are my statements. My standard correlation, this assignment was very personal, and it's interesting to put names to my leadership style. It makes me reflect upon my own strengths and weaknesses and how I can always improve for the sake of my school and students. It's important to not just be these things, but to do them consistently. Something that I really want to look into further is emotional intelligence. I value and portray many of these characteristics, but I'm pretty unfamiliar with it and like what exactly it means. I also think that knowing what kind of leader you are helps you make decisions and surround yourself with people who can support your shortcomings. So my reflection, it's clear that I have some work to do. I like knowing exactly where I am personally so I can actively work on my own weaknesses. I don't think I will ever be able to completely rid myself of them, but if I work to minimize them, I'm sure that it is better than doing nothing. And here is my references. Thank you for watching.